says that it's okay to be different. This is what our young children are saying to us. We want to be able to deal with this. We're tired of hearing what happened and how bad it was. We want to move forward in our educational system in Cameroon. Speaking to these differences, is it okay to be different in Cameroon? Do we have diversity? Do we even have tolerance for each other, other than the white man? My third concern is, if what we say here does not influence or speak to the laws of the land, the laws of Cameroon, we're wasting our time. If we don't have laws that say that you can't call me a nigger, we're human beings, we will be calling each other nigger. If there are no laws that say that don't call me kwa, it's a bad word, it's not to be used in public. It will be used, and you have one person saying that kwa means fufu eating country person, and the other person saying kwa means a slave. So if what we do here, if it doesn't ripple over to the laws of the land in Cameroon, we are wasting our time. So what kind of laws do we have in place? And I know that the speakers who are going to come after me will most probably touch that. Do we have laws that address all the differences that are tearing us apart? Or do we have laws in place that actually foster the problems we're having? That's, for starters, and I came into this room as a Cameroonian, and I've seen so many other friends and family members from all over Cameroon. We don't have the Cameroon flag. We do not sing the anthem. A country is united by certain things. If we don't rally under that, how are we going to try to come together? Our children go to American schools and they have to pledge allegiance to the flag. Those families are not Americans, mine are not. They might be virtually, but they have to do that. Then they sing their anthem. Then when they get into trouble, they place their flag all over their cars and their homes. What are they saying? They're trying to say, we belong. We want to be together. We come to a meeting where we want to be together. Our ambassador is here. He needs to be honored with a flag. All of us own that. It should be given to us. We need to be patriotic. We need to show it. So I'm going to ask families, the bear, and the ambassador, that if it's not too late, let us hear the national anthem and at least belong to it, so we can move forward in this fight. Let's sing it with a passion. So when we talk, we can remember that we at least have one thing that unites us. tell the story of the Bambileke people, but for some of us who had to read about it and learn about it, you may want to know that between 1910 and 1930, the Bambileke people moved from their various areas in small groups to work in the cocoa plantations and the palm groves in the southern part of Cameroon. That's the way in the littoral province. So first they move away. These are people who are loaded together in one little space. They have like 3 million people at least in little over 2,000 square miles of land. So they're falling on each other, and the natural tendency would be to move away where you can survive. And when they got to the littoral, they had working people. I'm not going to stand here and brag because it would be like I'm saying not. Because they were hardworking people, the white man liked them and encouraged more of them to come down from their highlands and work for them. Then came the Depression, and the owners of the plantations could not pay the Bambileke man. So naturally, what did they do? They moved from being share purpose to owning some of the land in the form of pay. But when the owners gave them the land, they did not realize that the Bambileke man would get a license for the land. When they turned around, the Bambileke man owned the land and had a government piece of paper to show for it. And that would make me unhappy if I didn't know that that's what was happening. And it goes for the Bastia people and for other people who have moved from where they were originally to where they are now. They had to move for one reason. When they got there, they were happy where they were. And that brings about that concept, the 11th province. So where are we coming from with the 11th province? We say that they're coming from all over because they're moving towards where they can be happy. Now they get to the littoral province and to other parts where there were workers. They gained a piece of land, they owned it, and then they increased the population of that area. By and by, Cameroonians want independence. And because the Bambileke man has moved from his highland and is out there, they are able to fight as a team. So politically, they contribute. But that doesn't make everybody happy because they own something that was not theirs originally. I can go ahead and talk a whole lot about the historical evolution, but I'm not going to waste your time because there are many people in this room, including my husband, who helped me write this paper. I'm coming from a chemistry background, who knows a whole lot more than I do. Our question now is, what are we going to do? Just because the Bambileke man left from the highland doesn't say that more people are not still living as we speak. Lots of people are moving from one part of Cameroon to the other. That's the E. And then when they get to where they're going, they will move again. That's the I. Is there a problem with moving around, being a Cameroonian, moving in Cameroon? Should there be a problem? I speak for the Bassas and the Bastia people and the Douala people. People keep moving all the time. Should they not move? And if they move, do we have laws on the land that protect them? My name is Edwana Nana, Dr. Nana, David Nana, Obed Nana, all those people, engineers, doctors, farmers, John Nana, who built one whole school and one whole church in Santa. Should I be considered a child from Santa? Or easily lean over the mafia, where my mother comes from, the Bakuju people? Where should I belong? Do I have laws of the land that say that I am from the Nanas, they have built Santa, they're hardworking, they're married, they're good people, or even if they were bad people, they have lived there long enough to belong? Can I be considered a child from Santa?
Yes, you are.
We're going to go on, and I'm doing it, and I'll be ready for because I don't want to bore you. You're listening to a lot of very reasonable and smart speakers, and the people who are coming after me have a lot of the answers. So I'm going to just try to piece one. We know about all of this. I can ask for Pamocho, ask and other young people. What are we going one road with 11 provinces. At this point, we are a concept. If you move from one area and you are not, if you move from where you used to be, you are in another area, especially if you move from the francophone area to the anglophone area, you seem to fall under that category. So how can we make it any better? We are hard workers. We are marrying your daughters, you're marrying our sons. We are not moving yet. So how can we help them? And I have a great picture here that I would like to dash out, 2 copies of that for members of our panel to take
You are too old for some of us.
Of
the government of the year 1961 and
There's a great picture going around. Make sure you catch it, please. Ladies and gentlemen, I have written a paper with the help of my husband, Dr. Tata Metan, and a lot of research. My daughter Eureka helped. And if I ask in this room how many people have a slight touch of the 11 province, who here has some kind of francophone relation? Would you just start for me?
everybody
Like if one of your parents came from Cotton Farm, backyard, without taking a side census, you see that we are everywhere. We want to live in peace. So what is, I know this is not the meaning that would erase everything and start all over, but where are we going to go from here? I have touched on the education system, the philosophy of education. I have talked about the laws of the land. If they don't change, we are still going to keep moving around. So what do we do? I'm going to hand over to Evelyn Joe, who is going to round up. She's been doing a census and hopefully some kind of questionnaire. Hopefully we're going to get results. Over to you, Evelyn. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. what a horizon, an envision, whether in Cameroon it can be a situation where 10 of Massachusetts will be elected to represent New York as it was in Kennedy, Rhode Island as in Patrick right now, Maryland as in Kathleen Townsend, and Mark Schreiber. It is possible. And while at it, can we conceive of a situation where Pamela Harriman was a U.S. ambassador to France? At the same time, his son, a Churchill, was a British parliamentarian. These provoking inquiries are food for thought as we hold on to old ideas and develop new paradigms. When I decided to participate on this 11th Province panel, I realized that one of the critical problems with African development might apply here. Academicians and other standard bearers learn to propose theories and solutions without interacting with the real people who face the situation. The topic, the role of the 11th province, presuppose that there is a general consensus on this categorization, and even worse, the people so described have accepted this self-definition. This is simply not true. My mother, Mrs. Joe, is a K-Town chick, K-Town Jopita, and as the myth goes, she's part of the Caracol Mafia as an SEA. So, I really question this entity, given this opportunity to penetrate myth, stereotypes, as well as facts, I choose, as a participant observer, design post, pre- and post-survey to elicit and reflect the opinion of you citizens, concerned citizens, as a necessary first step towards informed education. Together with interactive feedback, would analyze and disseminate this information to the larger community, which might even invite further studies. Only then can we truly say the business of people's participation, reconciling perception, myth, as well as fact, solution. For all practical purposes, right now, what cultural elites of the 11th province that includes my uncle John Lolita Bijanga and other reaction from Radio Microphone might or might not be justified. So, I hope this past survey is okay because after all, there are 250 million Americans that take a survey of 500 people and call an election. So, I think we have enough data for 50 million people to be able to come up with an informed list of what should not from. Thank you guys for listening, and I'm proud that we can come together as people as an
I decided to take a snapshot poll of the people who are gathering here today because one of the questions was whether people consider people as 11th province or whatever. So hopefully from there we'll get some answers. And are there any comments? Yes? Okay. All right. I just, let me, because he...
Yeah, go ahead. Thank you. Distinguished Cameroonians, the problems in Africa are multifarious, numerous, and diverse, and they must be approached from the distinct African perspective. The existence of multifarious, numerous, and diverse tribal groups, ethnic groups, makes for differential in our cultural entity. In the Northwest, for instance, people there could get married to 2, 3, 4, 5 women, as distinct from the Southwest, where in most cases somebody gets married to one. Given this perspective, you would realize that numerically, in terms of numerical strength, the people in the Northwest become a lot more predominant in number. Therefore, the minority people must be protected. We must therefore keep our indigenous communities in their own distinct nature. We cannot say that because we have Sonara in Limbe, and you are a Cameroonian from wherever you are, you will go and employ people in Douala to come and work in Sonora. That makes for economic dumping for the people who are in Victoria. So when we are approaching our African problems, our African democracy distinctly, therefore, must be different from European democracy. Thank you.
Okay.
Amana. Yeah, I just want to make two comments actually. The first one is going back to what Mrs. Fon said. I think we can sit here and talk a whole lot, talk good things for that matter, but in more cases, the people back home in Cameroon matter because they are there in the majority. So we may have to consider as to how we can get this matter to Cameroon, sit with the youth, and try to actually have them reason positively and not to sit and blame. I want to make a comment, and a very powerful comment. Your Excellency, yes, Your Excellency, please, I plead with you, like I would do any other government officials, to be honest and sincere. When you make reports to the President of Cameroon about the opinions, the feelings of Cameroonians, do not tell the President what he wants to hear, but tell him what you know with him. Thank you.
I'm going to. Are you? Yes.
I just had one comment to make about this 11 problems, please.
Okay.
I know we're not talking about definitions here. Some people among us here consider themselves 11 problems just because they are maybe born in Northwest or Southwest. What about the Cameroonians from places like Manfei who migrated to Douala before the Germans? So now how do you So what I'm trying to do, as Monono said, we should be looking at this thing from the African perspective. We should not bring new definitions that may cause problems down the road for Cameroon.
Thank you. I'm going to let the lady here who hasn't spoken before say something, and then I'll try to get back to you before the intervention.
My name is Charlotte Ojon. I'm from Littoral. I respect the 11 province concept. What I want to say here is that I have another concept. The concept of hybrid. Hybride, we say in French. I speak French. What about some of us who are mixed with Anglophones and who give you people kids? Where do we put these kids for Cameroon? So there's a concept of hybrid. I think the message we have to give to these young people that are in here is that we have a Cameroon, which is that we will have our identity, traditional identity. Yes. Each of us, we come with some background. We shouldn't forget our roots. That's the traditional. And I do respect the Northwest, Southwest problem. I respect it. But we shouldn't forget the hybrids.
I have a question.
Okay, let me.
James, I was just going to say that the concept of a number was actually forced down on the people of the province by the reaction of Northwesterners and Southwesterners, particularly Southwesterners. I remember a governor was named or was appointed who grew in Tico, in Masaka. And there was the Southwesterners went ballistic because he was appointed based on the fact that he was a Southwesterner, because he was born in Tico and his family had lived in Tico for many years. The Southwesterners went ballistic, and within a few months he was replaced. And this happened to other people like Tamak have not been accepted as Southwesterners. But that's exactly what they are. So we need to make people comfortable for them to be able to invest. We need to make them comfortable for them to be able to invest and to be accepted as people as syndicates. So, the 11th province was not created by the people themselves, but by us who forced them as who discriminated against them. And it goes through with people even within the same provinces. If you remember when Obeneshu was governor of South Province, he was the one who permitted the issue of come no go. But ironically, he himself resigned and he retired and never went back to Murphy.
They come no go.
Thank you.
Well, I'm making a comment. It's a good thing Evelyn said that in America, which is a melting pot of the world, Edward Kennedy can be from Rhode Island and become a senator in New York, and Mrs. Clinton can be this and become that. And I would say that from the word go, this notion of 11th province was not really strong. Everybody was taken as a person wherever he was. But it came a time when Ahijo was appointing public officials, trying to balance it according to the origin so that everybody in the country will be satisfied. But then, since these decisions were being taken by the ministers who were predominantly Francophone, if there was a minister, or Charles Wonana from Monatele, was asked now to appoint an Anglophone in his ministry so that Anglophones would be represented. I'm theorizing. He may appoint a Covenant to represent the Southwest or represent Boya Bakweri people. And it turns out that a Covenant from Monatele. No, they can't. I mean, I'm still theorizing. But it happened that they appointed people on the basis of the language, believing that they were now taking care of everybody in the nation, and it turned out that those people were from the other side, which were already represented. So, but when the people found themselves without a representative in government, because their place had been taken by somebody from there. Okay, with that now, it even went further. That I wouldn't hide it. Emmanuel Muji will go and unearth his father's remains from Kumba and carry to go and bury in Bafia in order to identify, to let Bafia people believe that effectively he is Bafia. And so, what we should come out here, as people have said, is that there should be laws in our country that wherever you are and you contribute to the development of that place, which total up to the development of Cameroon, you belong there and you belong to Cameroon.
Thank you, Pat. Okay, do you want to say none of you? Okay.
Just 1 minute.
I was just about to say that this is the first meeting I've had where after about 5-10 speakers and endless questions and answer sessions, the hall is still about 70% full. So we're having a very good day, and I think we're going to carry on and take a few more questions before we take a break. And I'm going to talk to Bonnie, who hasn't spoken. Bonnie, there's someone there.
Oh, okay.
I will come back.
I was just going to concentrate and do my thing back here, whatever I did, and not even make a comment, and maybe wait till the end. But there's just one comment, one thing I want to make. Maybe I'm looking at it differently. The fact that we are talking about ministerial appointments as if there were parliamentary elections. The fact that we are talking about ministers being appointed because they are from this area, I think we should stop and think about whether we are a product of Catholic education. Maybe people who are products of education still look at it that way. Nobody, panelists and everybody included, has talked about people appointed to positions because they merit that position. So if I was my uncle sitting in Yaoundé now, I would read about everything that happened in India and say, oh, these people are okay with the fact that I can appoint somebody from Manu and another person from Bonakanda and another person from Awing, not from Santa, and these people are going to be fine. Are we to assume that we are okay with the fact that ministerial positions, that we accepted the fact that ministerial positions are to appease people as if the parliament is not there for people to vote their own representatives? What happened to that thing that we have learned in this country called merit? Zebrodaya, one of his guys said, you see, the problem with Nigeria is not that they don't have qualified people. The problem with Nigeria is that somebody will go to London to learn powder in the University of Cosmetics. Then when he comes back to Cameroon, just because he was Yoruba or Igbo or Hausa, he will be made Minister of Trade at the Ministry of Railway. Now, which do you prefer? It's more like a comment, so maybe we can shift our focus back to what some of us have learned here, that merit. And I don't really care, you know. You can call me what you want, a Cam no go in Kwa, or I have a domain of operation, and that domain is called all of Cameroon. I'm going to come, you can concentrate and call me a Cam no go, but I'm going to come and beat you where I feel I can beat you, and I don't care if that is in Mante proper or in Boya. And if you care, or if you think that you are going to get something in life by beating me in Awing at something that both of us can do, in this case, drink book or walk fast, come and beat me in Awing. I don't have any problem with that. Maybe we should try and instill that same idea in everybody, or some of. Like I said, I was going to make this comment at the end. You see, Pamucho talked about 1959. There's a picture there, 1959. Patekwana talked about coming to the US in 1961. Now, in 1961, I was not born yet. So guess what, folks? I don't even feel like I should be sitting on the panel or even talking with these kind of people. If we are talking about their problems in 1961, and we are in 2002, statistically, I still have about 50 more years to live. By all means, if you cannot solve this up until today, well, maybe you people should have your own meeting. You know, because if you want to drag some of us into it, and a younger lady, where's Miss Benduga? If you want some of us to spend our time and come and listen to this, or whether to come and justify whether there is a southwest and northwest problems, and your facts are things that are 1961 and 1951, I'm very sorry. Maybe I'll have something to say again later on.
Okay, I think there are two people on the panel who are...
By the way, if you guys did not know, I don't know, maybe a video is going to kill me for this. I'm a member, or I'm actually president, and everything for my own political party is EPOC.
Thank you. I think you raised a couple of points there, and a few people on the panel have said they would like to respond to that. No. Yes, or maybe make corrections or adjustments or whatever. So, Steve?
I want to make a point here because Barboni has said something which it's going to come up later when I make my presentation. And I happen to believe that he has touched on what is the principal source of the problem that we have. And by so doing has also alluded, perhaps without knowing he has done so, on what may possibly be the way forward as far as a solution. He mentioned the fact that there was this thing, or there was this need somehow that came up that required President Amadou Ahidjo to try to seek representation in government in political appointments that reflected the people. Duh. We are reinventing a wheel here because somebody should have told President Amadou Ahidjo that there is such a thing as representative or grassroots democracy, by which the people get to choose whoever they want to represent them. Now, come on. The simple act of devolution of power frees us from this humongous necessity of having to answer a zillion questions. All we have to do is trust the people, that they know what is best for them, and that they can decide what is best for them. They are neither right nor wrong. I'll borrow the famous notion of the customer is always right. That has allowed America to flourish so much in the business of America, which is business. People, there is no need for us to put this moral overlay on people. I can act on my prejudices or I can act on whatever. It was called by Adam Smith self-interest. And I am going to think about this because I'll come back to it. I am going to make a simple proposition that if you allow people to act in their own self-interest, we will get results that are optimal for society at large.
There's an ingredient for everybody. There's a saying that if you don't know where you're coming from, you will not know where you're going. So the pre-independence people found mucho of Gola Tekwana as relevant as those of us post-independent people. And for correction, I think you gave a solution. You know, you said nobody addressed it, but I think I was not tricky with this question. 11. It's a person's tribal origin relevant in determination. In that determination, you just said no. So you answered the question. So I think
Thank you.
that was covered.
Okay. Justin.
Thank you very much. It's not for a comment or to enlighten other issues, but it's important that when people speak in a situation like this, facts should be corrected. And I'm referring to Mr. Mbide and a few others who have raised the question, where did the whole idea of 11 provinces come from? And some have alluded different meanings to it and have given different interpretations to different people who were not even involved with the issue. 11 provinces arose because the people themselves declared it. And in fact, in Northwest, Southwest, they didn't care where they voted you to represent. In Chico, they voted Mr. Beto to represent them in the assembly. And when he went to the assembly, he rose to the position of speaker. And Mr. Beto never went back to his constituency. He declared himself that he's a Bassa man, and that is from Bassa, and the Tico people felt disappointed. How can you live with us? You build, we are feeling that you are one of us. Now we elect you, you declare that you are not one of us. That was an embarrassment to the people. They were forced to look for somebody else. So history is also important in clearing these issues. It's not that because X said it 11 provinces. It's what you made it yourself. And it's they who came. I'm also surprised that Mr. Luang Fong was talking that all the people who came were hardworking. No. The laws in southern Cameroon, especially then, were very simple. Anybody who comes from any part of the world, if you come, they give you a place to build your house and a place for your farm. And they call it community land. When you are going away, you don't give it to your brother or sell it to anybody. It goes back to the community. And that law was made long ago when we were part of Nigeria. That law was never repealed at that time. So those who came, either they were running away from a war or running away from a tribal issue, or for whatever reason, they are not accepted in their own homes. When they came, they got all those lands. And sometimes they get even more, because we have a lot of land. Why are you keeping it? You give it to them. But when they want to go, they want to sell it. And they grab more and sell it. That's where there are some problems. I think other than this, there's nothing wrong about giving somebody a piece of land to build, to cultivate and feed his family. That is a genuine hospitality. And that's what happened. So the 11 provinces, they themselves who started it. And they created it because if they elect you to parliament, that's the highest honor you can have from a group of people in a community. And you go there, you declare that I come from this village, that's where I come from, I no longer represent you.
What year was this?
This was 1965.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
70.
No.
Okay. I'm going to allow one. Order. I'm going to let one more person to speak. We are having a very interesting conversation, and we're going to definitely continue after the intermission. And this is not going to end even after the 2 speeches that we have after. So we have a lot of time. We can stay here till about 9 o'clock today. I'm going to give the chance to the lady who hasn't spoken to say something, and then we're going to break for about 30 minutes, and we'll reconvene at about 7:45 with the next speeches. Okay.
So we have
Okay. Okay.
They probably have to play some music for us.
Yes.
She's been here all day. She probably wants to play her last music before going home.
They say we're going to let her speak. After that, we're going to let people stretch their legs a bit while listening to some good music.
That's right.
Okay.
Thank you. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. His Excellency the Ambassador of Cameroon, and also His Royal Highness Monanya Guida IV. Thank you. My name is Judith Abuno Ibini, and I think we should really not mistake facts here. When I listen to the young lady speak, of course she's of a different generation than myself. I grew up in Yaoundé, and in Yaoundé, when the Francophones hear you speak English, they call you Grafi. And when they talk about Grafi, they are referring to Babeleke in Yaoundé generally. So there is also that cultural problem in Yaoundé when they talk about Grafi and non-Grafis. And when they talk of Grafis, that is just to set something straight here. She's from a different culture. She's not of our Northwest, Southwest culture, so she may not understand. Well, that's a give. I'm just assuming, I'm making an assumption here that she's not of the Northwest, Southwest culture. So she might not understand the root from where we are coming. But the comment I wanted to make is that we should not really misinform and misguide ourselves to say that when members, our politicians are appointed by the president, that the appointment does not affect the representation of other members that might serve us in one way or the other. Even here in the United States of America, when the president makes an appointment, that person that is appointed has to go through a confirmation process. And there are a lot of things that come into play during the confirmation process. A lot of times, they look at things like the person's political leaning. Is the person an extremist? Is the person a moderate? Or is the person that's left or right wing? They also look at things like demographics. And when they talk about demographics, you're looking at the geographical region that the person comes from, the person's race, is the person black or white? And they also look at things like the age of that person. Is the person going to represent the interests of the young, or is the person going to represent the interest of the old people who need maybe Medicaid and all of that? They also look at the sex of that person. Is the person going to be kind of sympathetic to issues that concern women? So when we should not, in this forum, misguide ourselves to say that if the Prime Minister, for instance, is a Bakweri man and is the Prime Minister, it doesn't affect things that would go on in the politics and how members are going now to represent us in Cameroon. I just wanted to make that differentiation and make things clear. But then again, that's my opinion. And also, again, it is a fact. So we cannot run away from this. I wanted to make this clear before people start saying, oh, in this forum it was said that politicians it's just the president who appoints. It doesn't have any bearing on how the politics in the country is run. That is a mistake. Just wanted to set that straight. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Seseko, he has a title in agriculture, which is the highest rank in EPEC. So I have to call him by his cultural title, Seseko Joseph Wu. He's going to talk about the impact of the Northwest-Southwest problem on the Cameroon diaspora in the U.S. We would not take questions because there are two of them for that topic. After he speaks for 10 minutes, Mr. Kenneth Lee Van de Broek would also speak, and then we'll take questions for both of them. Thank you.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Unfortunately, I'm not going to formally address our hierarchy here because we all have come here as citizens of the Cameroonian Republic. My name again is Joseph Wu. This issue that we actually cornered to focus on is an issue which would have been very emotional. Unfortunately, again, we have bounced around the problems, possible solutions, until now that what I was going to say will be retracted a lot because it has already been talked about. Our problems are not new, but the problems are problems of Cameroon. And Cameroon, being a country which is still young, 40 years young, is still growing, and it needs all of us to forge a new future for Cameroon. Now, the same, I would say, some of the people who actually perpetrated these problems, or who actually were part of the problems, moved to the US. And as they came, they brought some of the doctrines that we inherited. I thought when Cameroonians leave Cameroon to come overseas, they come to learn something new that they take back home. Instead, we were learning something new or something that has been there for 40 years, and wanted to perpetrate the same thing among us. In 1981, that's December 31st, 12 midnight, I arrived in the US. I came in there and I met my gentleman here, Dr. Steve Andosei in Detroit. We did not know that the Cameroonians were Anglophones, Francophones, Southwest, Northwest. We were one strong community, a very strong community. We created an association from nowhere, an association because we were in need for some things in America. While we did so, I happened to have become the organizing secretary, I think 6 months after I arrived in America. I was one of the lucky bunch. But then, what we came out of 2 years afterwards was that every Cameroonian did not know where he came from. We knew we were Cameroonians. Nigerians became Cameroonians in Detroit because of that model which we created. But when I moved from Detroit and came down here, it was fine until you guys know the creation of SDF and creation of multi-party. Cameroonians started serving not only their own brothers from the same province or same village. Everybody was clamoring for some recognition in Cameroon to be this political guru or some leader of the political arm in America, thereby identifying with either good solutions or bad solutions for Cameroon. If you were from the other party, you were regarded as a taboo, especially from CPDM. Some of us, like Jumbo, was bold enough to have said I was CPDM number one. But that guy you see there, was one friend who was SDF, and you know what? We were still the best of friends and he was stubbornly SDF. True. But the man could, the man could always allow me to say things which I know was against SDF, and he wasn't angry. Same as I allowed him to say whatever he wanted to say, even in my own party, in my house, to come and show what SDF can give. I was also going to his house and showing what CPDM can produce. Then we had the buffer, the late Chief Khaled, who we did not actually know where he belonged, but he was a leader. Mark you, this guy had a dream to change Cameroon peacefully. We all bannered behind him. Then just of a sudden, the same people who were following him, was one of them. I think he was one of the strong disciples of Khaled too. What we realized as a Southwesterner was that people did not show up in meetings anymore after a while. Why? They had already started affiliating themselves with political parties. By so doing, when Khaled calls the meeting, people don't show up anymore. Mr. John Communio was always with Khaled, but finally he actually declared he was from the other side. Then people from these regions, I say Southwestern, started, clamoring together, saying, hey, man, the second KNDP is coming. The second coming of KNDP. I was one of those who said no. We should start to see if there's a problem which is going to happen here, because one of our younger brothers was almost killed here in town because he lost his country's hierarchy in DC. That was the embassy at that time, and that was the president of CAMSA at that time. CAMSA, Washington. CAMSOMA. I supported him because, you know what, this guy was just so eloquent. I did not know what political inclination he was. I just liked the way the guy was presenting his matter. So one day I went and gathered people and brought Chief Khaled and I said, man, I'm not killing my brother. Now leave this man. I was doing that not because he was from Northwest, but I just knew this guy had some intrinsic value for Cameroon. I was wrong myself because I started having fear that even though I love change, I did not want the change from SDF. I wanted the change from CPDM. But then my own friends realized that Jumbo really is talking about SDF now or CPDM. We want to know where he belongs. Finally, some people know, and some people knew, and up till today, we are still friends because I was honest to them. They too became honest to me and knew we are just people thinking differently. As Cameroonians, we did not know that we have lost opportunities. The first opportunity that came to this town was Dr. Malfobi. Dr. Malfobi came up with an idea of creating a new Cameroonian association in town here because he saw or he foresaw the death of cancer. You know the truth? Everybody he brought in that panel, none of them came from Northwest. You had so-called 11 province people and Manu people were in that panel. But the Manu people too who were in that panel were the ones who thought there was no problem between Northwest and Southwest. That one alone created a problem in their own community because we were not sure that there was no problem. We were sure there's a problem, we need to talk about the problem. And we didn't talk about the problem. Malfobi's group did not go far enough. So as we're sitting here today, we need to be honest in our dealings with each other because if we're not, that suspicion looms and will continue to loom and will kill the Cameroonian spirit here. Let's not forget that the Anglophones, so-called people from the Anglophone origin, are the majority Cameroonians in America, maybe in the Washington DC area. If we don't set a good example to unite ourselves for the good of Cameroon, the Francophone who comes will not want to join us in the fight to change Cameroon because they don't know where we're going. They don't also want to join, let alone Southwest, Northwest issue. A young guy wanted to start an association here, and he happens to be the next person who's going to speak behind me. He came and told me, I'm going to create a new association, a new Cameroonian association of professionals. I frankly told him, I said, my brother, you have a very long road to go through. Because it's not because of your idea, it's not because of you. The problem is people will be viewing you as maybe a pro-SDA person. And this rich idea you bring in will die a natural death because Cameroonians don't want to see something new because they're already painting you to be what you're not. The person happens to have been an 11th province person too in Yaoundé. If you want to call it 11th province, we mean anybody who was born in a different province and grew up there, but not originally from there, becomes an 11th province. This young guy made efforts to bring Cameroonians together at the Capitol Hill. We came there gloriously, trying to enjoy this new thing. The next day, emails started going around. The email wasn't going around because of the idea, but I'm very sure it's because of this same thing where you don't take people for what they can best present for Cameroon, but for what you identify them to be. Northwest, Southwesterner. I bet you if it was a Southwesterner who came with the idea, you would only find few Southwesterners who will come, and some Northwesterners will not show. But I'm telling you from what I'm saying, the dogmas that were created for Cameroon, or for the Cameroon of tomorrow, is dying away. I see a new generation of Cameroonians now talking about correcting the bygones and moving ahead. We want to forge a new future for Cameroon. And I bet you I would love to belong to that amalgam too, myself. I want to belong because we want to urge every Cameroonian to belong. It's now going to that time when we need to start contributing positively to our nation. It's a shame that Cameroonians sit in America and someone glorify America as if America was made by them. They cannot make their own. They want to glorify other people. Let's start trying to make our own. They say, as you fix your bed, so shall you lie on it. So Cameroonians, I beg you, individually, to change your mindset and know that your fault or your inability to perform should not be, pointed at somebody, or the origin of your non-performance should not be from Northwest. It should be from you. Before you point your one finger, 3 fingers are pointing back to you. Let's start from that premise and work for Cameroon. Thank you.
Before Mr. Kenneth comes up, I would invite most of you to read through the remaining items we have on the agenda. And some people have been very edgy and saying that they have not benefited anything from the meeting, and the suspicion they had coming in, or that they heard from other people is the same thing. I want all of you to know that we came here to be able to make proposal to solve a problem if there's a problem. So before we get to the point of the people who are going to make those suggestions or those resolutions, I'm going to go around as Stanley speaks to gather some write-ups from any of you on proposals that would go, your suggestions into what you think would be what can solve the problem. if there's a problem, if there's no problem. If there's no problem, still, how can we be a strong community together? If there's a problem, how can we solve the problem? Make your individual suggestions, and then I think Dr. Stephen Duse with some other members are going to be able to come up with a blueprint of, we cannot resolve here, we don't want to take that power, but we can make suggestions to our different communities in Cameroon, here and other places, in the way we can live in a fruitful and profitable way as a people together. So, Mr. Kennedy.
Thank you.
You want me to stand up? Or did I leave here? Put me in a terrible seat. I'm telling you, they messed me up.
First, I'm here in dual capacity as one of the Fair Foundation people, as well as the spokesperson for AMACAM. AMACAM was formally seated at the U.S. Congress on Friday, August 10th, 2001. I'm going to address a couple of issues on the organizational impact of the Northwest-Southwest schism, how that has impacted forming a broad-based Cameroon association here in the United States. I'm not seeing my screen here, so I have to put that together. Well, first, what is the vision for AMACAM? I'll just read off what we have here. AMACAM seeks to develop friendly relations among Cameroonians, the basis of which is respect for each other as a people. So, all the issues we're having, accusing each other of this, we can stem that down and see how we can move forward. Another vision for AMACAM is to enhance and empower our development as a people here in the United States, because we live here right now, whether we like it or not, for various reasons. Both here in the USA and in our country of origin, Cameroon, in all aspects of economy, culture, social, academic, and so on. And the other thing as well is to be an encompassing Cameroonian association and to accentuate these tenets that bind us as a people. Okay, how did we get here? First, I have growth in the community. What that means is very simple. The CAMSA president spoke here. I used to be a member of CAMSA. A lot of people used to be CAMSA members. Right now, as we speak today here in the United States, the population of Cameroonians who are not students or who used to be in school and are either working now in one capacity or another is much more than those who are students. So what does that mean? When the Student Association was created back in, I think, before 82, prior to Ahidjo's visit, there was a need at that time. And the need at this time is to have a broad-based Cameroonian association, regardless of political persuasion. Why don't we have one here in the United States? A lot of people have spoken. There have been issues, there have been CAMSA problems. When multi-party politics was introduced back at home in 1990, depending on who you speak to, SDF will say they introduced it, the president authorized it. So, with the coming of multi-party politics, it polarized a lot of people at home and here as well. So what naturally evolved from cancer is that tribal associations started forming, alumni organizations. And there really isn't any broad-based Cameroonian association. A lot of these tribal and alumni associations, they are geared towards a particular thing, but not the broad Cameroonian diaspora. Now, I have here, one of the points I have here is political implication, tolerating divergent views between the Northwest and Southwest. I must be honest with you, I was born in Victoria, but taken to Yaoundé when I was 2 months old, so I grew up in Yaoundé. And a lot of the Northwest, Southwest things I really had no idea about. No idea. When I was propagating this idea about an association, Joe told me there is a perception. Of course, like the cancer president spoke, I was innocent about a lot of things. And when you send letters